am Gary Parrish. Welcome back. CBS Sports, Eye on College Basketball podcast, where we sometimes discuss camel fighting Dodo Bird's leaky black. Matt Norlander is here with me. If you're watching on YouTube, be Brandon Davies. Smash that like button. And if you're one of us, please let the world know in both the chat and in the comments. Let's get into it. I want to start on the lead to Norlander's court report, which detailed how we just had what can reasonably be described as the greatest first month of the season in the history of college basketball as it pertains to ranked versus ranked matchup. It's Norlander's story, so I'll stop right here. I'll let him tell you about it. Norlander, you started sorting data in your own little way on ranked versus ranked matchups in November. Please tell the folks who were nice enough to get up with us on this Friday morning, please tell them what you learned.
On this chilly Friday morning across the country, just out of curiosity, buddy, I woke up, it was 12 degrees in Connecticut. What are we doing right down? I think you might be at a snow or an ice threat. What do we got down there in Memphis, Tennessee right now?
Okay, don't overstate it. We're not snowing and ice storming just yet. We've got a cloudy 32 degrees here in downtown Memphis right now.
It's manageable right now. We're cruising at a bluebird 20 degrees right here up in Connecticut. Yes, we have a massive weekend ahead of us in college basketball, and it continues with the trend. And we'll get to a few of the Wednesday notable results, most notably Arkansas's win over Louisville. We are going to get there in short order, but let's just set the table with what we've got this weekend and what we've really had. It's not just November, it's November into December, and we have been given perhaps a record-breaking number of ranked-on-ranked matchups. So that was the lead to Wednesday's court report. Last season, in total, in non-conference play prior to the NCAA tournament, which, of course, would up the number of non-conference notable matchups. But before we get to the bracket stuff, we had a total of 31 ranked-on-ranked games. The year before that, it was 28. The year before that, it was also somewhere in the mid-20s. This year, by the end of this weekend, we will already be at 36, with more to come next week and the week after and the week after that. When you factor in, Duke plays at Michigan in February, and we've got a couple more. You've got Ohio State, Virginia. Maybe those will be ranked teams. You've got Baylor against Louisville in February. Maybe those will be two ranked teams when that game happens. We really might have as many as 50 ranked matchups in the non-conference portion of the schedule. And then when you bring in the inevitability of intra-conference play in January, February, and into March, we are going to cruise past more than 100 ranked matchups in college basketball this season. I mean, we could get to 100, 120, 125 or so, and it is, off to a tremendous start. There are 6 more this weekend. There are more ranked matchups this weekend than we can even put into the top the Final Four and 1, which is incredible. We are going to have 2 more top 10 matchups this weekend, with Iowa State at Purdue on CBS and Duke at Michigan State. That will give us 5 already this season, top 10 games. We had Purdue and Alabama on November 13th. We had UConn and BYU on November 15th. We had Arizona and UConn on November 19th, and now 2 more this weekend. Just top 10 matchups, period. So it's been a tremendous start to the season, and I wrote it not just because it's notable. I really think it could set the record for most ranked games in non-conference competition in the history of sport, particularly when you look at when the calendar starts now. And there used to not be nearly as many non-conference games, 30, 40, 50, 60 years ago is what we have now. So we really might have more this season than any other before. And I wanted to bring it up so that the coach, kind of behind the scenes, what happens around this time of year is coaching staffs, director of basketball operations, folks in athletic departments, they're having extremely informal, hey, maybe next year might we be able to do this, or I want you to get you into this MTE next year. Could you do this? Some of those decisions have made, some of them haven't. But over the next 3, 4, 5 months, those decisions will get decided. And I wanted to acknowledge it now so that the high majors that are, trying to keep this up is the point. Don't stop doing this. This should essentially be the standard, because the more great matchups we can have, the better. And it is a combination. It's the MTE stuff. Players era was obviously a factor in this because we had a number of ranked games in that one. TV influences it with your ACC, SEC challenge. There's no doubt about it. There's stuff like that also forces the hand. But coaches do ultimately have to opt into this as well. And the past couple of years had been pretty nice. I don't want to downstate. Like a year ago, 2 years ago, those were actually pretty good overall November, December schedules, but nothing like what we have here. And I hope that this can become the standard moving forward, and we don't get 3-4 years down the road from this and be like, remember, a 25-26 season. Like, why can't we get back to that? Let's not have that. Let's make sure that we are scheduling with intention to make sure we can have as many good ranked on ranked matchups as possible.
I was going to ask you, how much of this do you think is a byproduct of 18 team players era festival? But you touched on that. Clearly, it's a factor. Nate Oates is another factor. I think some of this is just Nate Oates decided to be.
Nate Oates, I give Dan Hurley credit too.
Yes, like every coach who contributed to this in an unusual way, I give an immense amount of credit for, because it's something I've been asking for as long as I've been doing this. Like, you play 30-something games minimum. This isn't the BCS. If you're a legitimately good program, great program, being run the right way, you can afford to take a loss in November or December in a high-profile game and live to see another day. I love the quote I think Tommy Lloyd gave you after one of their big wins. Maybe it was the UConn win.
Yeah.
And he was like, we're not afraid to play these games. And then he went, we're also not afraid to lose them, which I think is the most important thing. Now, you don't want to, I don't want to hear a coach out there 1-7 talking about, at least we're courageous. Yeah, you suck.
Well, now we're drifting into Steve Sarkisian territory a little bit.
Yeah. Congratulations on being courageous, but you got a shitty basketball team. You keep losing every game. So I don't need to hear that, but I love that from Tommy. We're not scared to play these, and we're not scared to lose them. We're gonna. This is good for us. It's good for the sport. We'll benefit from it. I wish more coaches had that kind of mindset. Let me ask you this, in all seriousness: how much of this do you think? First, some of this you would agree or push back. We started the season on November 3rd. That's an early date.
Yeah, like the inventory hasn't changed over the past 15, 16, 17 years. So
right.
There's been the same amount of non-conference games, but allowing for a longer schedule, that definitely affects what it used to be, say, in the 70s, 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. That's definitely a factor. But also, the change in MTE rules has also affected this. We don't need to go down that rabbit hole, but the way that you could get into an MTE and the players era basically forced this to change, that also has been a factor in allowing this to happen and us having so many really, really good games. And it's perfectly timed here for our conversation here, because we're going to get to it. But it's just this, it is ridiculous how many good games and relevant games are happening over the next 72 hours in college hoops.
Right. So my point, I guess, is when I was a kid, you would hear things all the time on TV. Like, whenever people were talking about college basketball on TV, they would say things like, and if so-and-so over here out of the Big Ten gets to 20 wins, I mean, that's going to do it. Like, 20 wins meant something. Yeah. And you would hear people say things like, this coach he's had 7 straight 20-win seasons. And it's like, okay, maybe that used to matter, but it does not matter anymore. 20 wins doesn't. And this was a little bit like, well, when you start the season on November 3rd, you're going to get more good games in November than you would if you started the season on November 11th, whatever. Here's the question I'm going to ask you. How much of this do you think is a byproduct of people like Tommy Lloyd, John Shire, younger coaches taking over big brands and being less set in their ways about how non-league scheduling should be? Just a new approach to some of the biggest brands in the sport. Is that a factor here?
I think that's a factor.
Yeah.
You mentioned those guys, Hurley, even, not a new coach to the game, but Painter has not been afraid. Izzo traditionally has not been afraid. Todd Golden has hunted games. I'd say overall, there has been an adjustment across the board at the high major level when it comes to the number of games. Now, obviously, you had power conference teams that were putting themselves in MTEs like a Maui or you name it, where they were going to inevitably play at least 2 really good teams. What's happening here now is that not for all, it's definitely not for all, but a lot of high major coaches and coaching staffs are looking at the non-conference portion of the schedule and they're saying, all right, let's get to 6. And by 6, I mean 6 of the typically 11 games you're going to play in non-conference. Let's make sure we're playing a top 70, 75 opponent. And within that 6, let's make sure, 4 of those are going to be projected potential quad 1 games. That's kind of the calculus there. Now, you can't always hit it on the button because there's going to be teams that overachieve and there's going to be teams that underachieve that are going to affect that. But when you have an industry whose mindset has changed more for the better, as opposed to some of the old school thinking holding it back, this is the result of what you get. And the benefit to all this is, I know that college basketball has not overtaken remotely a discussion point that college football has, that the NFL has at this time of year. But there have been more good games on TV and good spots for the past 4.5 weeks. and it has put the sport in a really good spot so that as we curl here into December and then we get through the majority of the non-conference portion of the season, you're going to see a lot of results that have relevance, that have a long tail to them into league season once we get into bracketology projections and all that stuff, once that hits after Valentine's Day. This stuff does matter in the moment because it's just more reasons to watch really good teams, really good coaches, really good players, but the results will actually have more staying power here because there are just more of them to talk about, and we're going to get even more of them over the course of the next 3 days.
Yeah, I think what Dan Hurley was talking about a few weeks back is, I mean, I appreciate him making the point, but it's kind of a pipe dream. Like he wants, he certainly implied he would like to turn on ESPN in the morning, see Get Up with Mike Greenberg, and them talking about last night's college basketball. They're just not going to do that. I mean, outside of very few instances. I mean, because the world
that with Cooper Flagg a little bit last year, understandably, Cooper Flagg at Duke, but those shows are not tailoring their conversations in November. So I agree with Dan Hurley.
Right.
I have zero expectation any of that's going to happen. If you want that kind of conversation, frankly, you're going to have to come to a show like us, and we'll give it to you at least 3 times a week.
Like we turn on Get Up when I wake the kids up at 6:45 Central every morning. I think Get Up comes on around 7. We turn that on just because it's easy. It's like it's not all the world's problems. It's just an easy thing to turn on. And they're just constantly talking about football and the NFL and the NFL and the NFL. And I know last Thursday was an incredible day for college basketball, for CBS, as it was noted.
Yes. Record-setting viewership. Yes. Thank you for bringing that up. I forgot to even invoke that. Yeah.
Yeah. So what was the number for
it was
Arkansas,
like it was 6.8 something million, almost 7 million. It was the Duke versus Arkansas on Thanksgiving night, to be clear, coming out of the best viewed regular season NFL game, Cowboys Chiefs, on CBS since CBS reacquired the NFL in '98. That's a factor, but regardless, more people watched and more televisions were tuned into Duke versus Arkansas on Thanksgiving night than any regular season game on any network since 1993 when it was Indiana Purdue on CBS. So that's how widely viewed that game was in particular. And just yet another data point with some context needed around it as to why this season's got off to such a high publicized and good start.
All of that is great. My point was largely incredible college basketball viewership. But did you see the Chiefs Cowboys number?
Yeah, I know. It was 50. It was either 52 or 55 million.
Yeah, they got like 50 million more people.
Correct. Yeah.
So if you want to know why all these shows are talking about football, that is why. That's why. But it did put Cameron Boozer in front of roughly 6 million people, right? And that is better than what we would get in a different year. So I don't think the goal can get to be let's dominate the sports conversation in November. Lane Kiffin does that. But we can get to let's create as many big stages as we can in November to try to get as many eyeballs on this as we can so that by the time we get to like what is most people consider the good stuff of the schedule, there's already some familiarity there. It's not like people are looking up in the middle of January and going, okay, who's this guy at Duke? Oh, right. No, he's the one that went big against John Calipari on Thanksgiving night after Cowboys Chiefs. Like there's a reference point there, and that's why all of this stuff is good. Let me ask you this, and you referenced this in the court report, which I thought was good because I read both of these stories, and I think you can kind of connect them a little bit. Jeff Eisenberg, our buddy over at Yahoo Sports, really dug into the first month of the season, but in a different way than you. He was looking at the outcomes of games when you pit basically or exactly power conference programs against non-Gonzaga, non-power conference programs, which I think is a good way to frame it, because as a proud Memphis alum, I do think we've kind of reached the point, at least in this season, where it's power conferences and Gonzaga and there's a huge gap. Oh, by the way, trivia time. Highest rated KenPom team outside of the power conferences not named Gonzaga right now.
GP, I got no idea, but I'm going to blindly guess Utah State because it's undefeated in the Mountain West, but I have no idea.
It's St. Mary's at 34. So like, but like it's different. It's different, it's different right now. So the point Eisenberg made is that this season in particular, which by the way is coming off of a season in which we had no mid-majors in the Sweet 16, as I think a lot of people have noted, yourself included, the Cinderella of last season's Sweet 16 was John Calipari's Arkansas Razorbacks.
Yeah, because they're the only double-digit seed to make it.
Right. Like John Calipari is your Cinderella. Yeah. That's where the guy who a year earlier was coaching Kentucky is now your Cinderella at Arkansas. So after a season in which the Sweet 16 featured no mid-majors, nobody outside of the traditional power structure, we've now gone through an entire month of power conference programs playing mid-majors and low majors not named Gonzaga. And what Eisenberg found in his research is that there were 378 such matchups in November, and the little guys, the so-called little guys, won 22 of them, 5.82%, which is the lowest number in more than a decade. Previously, as Jeff reports, it's always been around 10% at least. Just 3 Novembers ago, it was around 16%. Little guys beating the big guys. This November, down to 5.82%. I don't think that's a coincidence. I think all of this stuff is connected. The last season, Sweet 16, this season, lack of success for the so-called little guys. Once upon a time, the little guys would get their players wherever they get them from, and they were at less risk of losing them to the transfer portal because you would have to sit out a year without a waiver. And most guys don't want to sit out a year when your options are continue averaging 16 points per game for your mid-major school that you love and is projected to go to the NCAA tournament. So these programs, a lot of them, they would keep their best players, and that would give them a shot in games like this. Well, now almost no mid-major program is keeping its best players. Every year, you're just getting Kansas State's buying 2 of them. Memphis is trying to buy 1. Alabama's buying 7. And so now the power conference programs have the best high school recruits, and they have the best mid-major players from the previous year for the most part. And that is a rough combination to try to overcome. And that's why I don't think these numbers are. I don't think they're just like, oh, well, they're just numbers. They don't really mean much. I think they're a sign of where we're headed. There's
strong correlation there, no doubt. As I wrote in the court report, let's see if March can just march itself, though. Let's see if the tournament can do its thing. Let's see if we can avoid what we had last season. But you're talking about a specific offseason portal cycle when the front-loading payments were bigger than ever by a major factor because of the impending House case settlement and everything that was expected to, in some ways still is expected to be in place there. And so that's why you've had a large severing. I do remember that November from 3 years ago because we had an unusually high number of ranked teams losing to non-ranked competition where, it's not that far in the rear view. The circumstances around the sport have fairly drastically changed in just 3 years' time. We'll see if things can drift back to where the way they should be if House settlement rules do land in place, if we don't see the portal have its numbers be as large as they've been in the years to come. I don't know. We'll see. But it also played a factor. And then the other factor, obviously, is, you can call any coach at a mid-major league that was projected to be top 3 in their conference, and all of them will willingly talk to you on the record about how insanely difficult it has become to get any kind of top 50 high major program to agree to play you in almost any circumstance. There are exceptions, NATO's being one of those exceptions, by the way. But that also is a factor that these, just to pull a number out of thin air, that the projected 30 best teams from non-power conferences, non-Gonzaga, are not able to schedule those games against those. If they would, that number would be above 5.5%. It definitely would, but that it wasn't because they weren't willing to schedule, which is the one real, in my opinion, downside from what we had here. I'd like to see a few more notable upsets, a few more good, really inevitably good games between, some of the best teams in the American or the Missouri Valley, or you go on down the list, you name it, or the CAA. Someone's giving you shouts because you got a CAA shirt on. That's right. That's not the CAA, but regardless, I'd like to see some teams from those leagues play some decent competition from the high major ranks. You'd get in the occasional upset or two. We haven't had that. There's major forces pulling those two sides apart at this point. I don't have a lot of confidence that situation will be resolved across the board in the years to come, but it is another factor in regard to what we've been talking about here.
I think I just got one more thing on this, then we can move on. Your point about the front-loaded NIL deals creating this very specific set of circumstances where schools could throw around a lot of money before July 1st with really no oversight. Like, that's a valid point that could have led to what we're watching right now. The legend Seth Davis made the same point on X.
Okay. Well, then there we go.
I guess I would just counter by pointing out that I know in theory, the power conference schools with all the money are not supposed to be able to give out these massive NIL deals going forward based on the House settlement, but they're going to. They're telling us they're going to. Have you noticed this? They're not even pretending like they're going to follow the rules.
Yeah, I've only noticed this with a couple of hirings at the college football level, and so I think I've seen some commentary around that in terms of schools are openly talking about that they're going to be exceeding the number of the projected cap. Like I think next year it might be 22.5 or 23 million, and schools are saying we're ready to commit 30 million whatever to our football team or whatever. So I know what you're referencing.
According to Lane Kiffin himself, LSU is willing to commit at least $25 million annually in name, image, and likeness. There is no way, based on the way the rules are currently written, you should be allowed to spend $25 million in NIL.
Well, you can, and only in this regard. That's, again, if you're really going to burrow into that, that's basically assuming we're going to get a high-profile, high-name recruit, and that player in particular, for the basketball side, like AJ DeBanza, he's getting millions and millions off his NIL that BYU is not paying for because he is actually earning true NIL. Now, how many players that applies to, whatever, but that's the way that you can legally get around that, is if you can get a high-profile player or two, and then they're going to get an extra 1, 2, or 3 million through valid business purposes. That's how you break the cap. I know you know that, but for our listeners, understanding that's I think sometimes what coaches are also alluding to with that.
The impression these schools are leaving, whether it's LSU or BYU just retaining its coach when Penn State was targeting him, the impression they're leaving their fan base with is that we are going to operate at a level above the way the standards are supposedly written. Mm-hmm. And what it sounds like to me is we're gonna recruit the way we recruit. We are gonna make NIL promises. We are gonna get signatures on these documents, and then sure, we'll present them. And we assume you're gonna validate them. And if you don't, we'll see you in court. That's where this is headed. And
it's not supposed to head there, because if you opt into the House settlement, you can't sue. So I'm not saying it won't get there. I'm saying,
you remember this when the reporting was, well, here's what's going to happen. They're going to make all these schools sign these documents that say, hey, no matter what happens, you can't sue us, you can't challenge us. And what did I tell you? Within 2 minutes of reading it, I said they're not going to sign that document. Why? What leverage do you have to get them to sign the document? Hey, Ohio State, sign this document that says you won't do all these things you want to do, or else we're going to kick you out of the Big Ten. No, you're not. We're going to take you off CBS. No, you're not. We're not signing it. So the same people that were reporting all of these schools are going to be required to sign this document are now reporting the schools are not signing the document. So they can do whatever they want, and they have already made up their mind they're going to do whatever they want. LSU is telling us they just took Ole Miss's coach, in part because they're going to do whatever they want when it comes to, revenue sharing is what it is, but we're going we're pretending NIL, the rules never change. That is more or less what they're implying. Yep. So everybody can keep saying, well, you can't do this and you can't do that. Yeah. People keep saying what people can't do. Well, if you've ever played professional basketball, you can't play college, but you do whatever you want now, and they'll challenge it. They'll challenge it and they'll challenge it. So I'm not sure, just to circle back to this conversation, that all of what we're watching now is just front-loaded NIL deals, because I think the NIL deals that schools are going to be offering are going to be very similar, and they're going to dare people to get in the way, dare them to get in the way.
Yep. And if that continues to pace the way that it is, then yes, the gap could be consistent with what we've seen this season. Obviously not great for the mid-majors.
No, but I do empathize with those coaches. Like, I sat with a handful of them at Peach Jam, and I was just like, what are you even doing? And they're like, I don't know. Like, they don't know what to do. It's like, I don't know who I can get. I don't know who I can keep. It's like, it has never been more difficult to try to run one of those programs. And it's why you've seen some coaches just say, I'm not even going to try to run one of these programs anymore. Make me your third assistant and let me get on a private plane again, man. I can't live like this. Make me your third assistant and put me on a private plane. I'm tired of out here doing that job. So we wish them luck going forward. Let's move on. We come back. We'll spend a few minutes on the biggest result of the past couple of days. That is Arkansas, big win over Louisville inside Bud Walton. It was technically an upset. We'll dive in next. Pig Suey. First, though, a word from our partners.
When you need your sports news all the time,
we've got breaking news to bring to you.
CBS Sports HQ gives you a snapshot of all the sports that matter to you. When you need your sports in a snap, find it on CBS Sports HQ. Streaming free anywhere you are.
Score, Arkansas 89, Louisville 80 inside Bud Walton. The Razorbacks got their first good win of the season. The Cardinals took their first loss of the season. Norlander, if you have anything to say about this game, this would be the proper time to do it.
You said this was an upset, though, huh?
Technically, Louisville closed as, I believe it's around a 3-point favorite inside Bud Walton, which I thought was a little interesting, but like whatever. I'm not an odds maker.
Whatever, we can keep moving. But like 2 ranked teams, one with multiple NBA picks on one side, and they are at the home court. Like on a certain level, I can't call this an upset, but whatever. Arkansas gets the win. Never trailed in the game. This was impressive. They got by up, I think, as many as 18 in this one, and Louisville made a good push late. I thought the defense was really nice. Now, I thought actually Louisville had some skittish shot selection at certain points there. They were it was Louisville's worst shooting game of the season. It wasn't even close. And Arkansas did a good job on the boards overall. I thought it was the kind of game where although it wasn't, I wouldn't call it an A+ performance by Arkansas, whatever. Like you got a really good win over a really good team. You got it done on your home floor. You forced Ryan Conwell into an inconsistent game. Michael Brown had 22 points, 7 of 19 from the field, 2 of 13 from three-point range for the freshman. Acuff for Arkansas went for 17 points, 10 dimes. Man, he's a ton of fun to watch. I really just enjoy watching him play ball there. So yes, it was a quality win without a doubt. A few more notable results on Wednesday that I want to at least mention before we get out of here, but this was by far the most significant game that went down on Wednesday. And it was Arkansas's first notable win of the season. They had lost against Michigan State. They had lost against Duke. Everything else was a bye game. They did not play in an MTE. And I thought this was an important one because they've got some more big ones to come. Interestingly enough, Arkansas is not involved with any of the big games this weekend, but they've got in the subsequent 2 weekends ahead, they've got Texas Tech and they've got Houston here. So I thought that this was a key important win. And then at the end of the game, I appreciated what Calipari did because many people have been saying this for well over a decade now. He got on the mic and said, stop the overrated stuff. Now he said it in a way where he was like a disappointed father because his kids kept spilling cereal all over the kitchen floor. But whatever. The overrated chant has always been dumb. Why would you ever want to downplay the validity of the opponent that you just beat, particularly when they're ranked and they're good? And so I want more coaches to do this. Can we get coaches on the microphone to continually shame the idiot fans that want to call every team that has a ranking next to its name overrated? This has been dumb forever. Stop it. Calipari, I hope you start a movement here. Get rid of this stuff. We can be more creative with our chants. The overrated thing is idiotic, has existed for 2+ decades at this point. Get it out of here. Good on you, Cal.
Logically, I align with you, right? This is one of those where logically it makes complete sense to me, but I just tell you, if like I'm out on the golf course and I'm competing with my friends, I like to tell them they suck all the time if I'm winning. I'm like, you stink. You can't make that putt. I knew you couldn't get out of that bunker. I knew you couldn't get up and down. So that's me just basically over a span of 18 holes yelling overrated. Oh, you're overrated. You're overrated. So I think
that's one-on-one trash talk. That's different than an entire fan base trying to speak on behalf of its team and saying the team that we just beat actually sucks. I don't know.
I'm just saying sometimes in life I have been capable of making myself feel better by making somebody else feel bad. I know you're not supposed to do that. I remember hearing somewhere along the way, you're not supposed to try to make yourself feel better by making other people feel bad, but it works sometimes.
We've got someone in the chat. They bring up a good point. We did have a coach try and change this way back when.
Let's go do it. Come on.
I don't want that. Let me be very clear. I will take overrated every single time over whatever.
What if Cal would have jumped on the mic?
We'll do it. Come on.
What if Cal would have jumped on the mic at Bud Walton and been like, guys, we'd stop it with the overrated stuff. It's disrespectful.
Let's go Pigs. Come on.
Let's go Pigs. Let's go Pigs. Come on. Come on, Cal. You had a chance there. You missed. It's a missed opportunity.
Where is Arkansas? I don't know. I'm genuinely curious. Where's Arkansas? Where's Louisville in your rankings?
You telling me I can read a 17-minute court report? You can't look at where Arkansas is in the top
I like
25
that.
and 1.
It's called for the content. I like to find out in real time.
I'm just kidding. I sort of got hand to heart. My little guy had a basketball game, and
we got my first ones tomorrow. By the way, I got this loaded weekend, and I'm not. Listen, I'll be fine. The game is at noon, so we've got like this great stuff happening at noon. Your guy here gonna be watch. I can't wait to watch my little guy, but I'm dialed in on this phone here when that game gets going here, Duke.
I can't tell you how many games I've watched on my phone. That's all I do is watch games on my phone. So. My little guy had a game, and in his little facility where they play basketball, like the Wi-Fi is you can't get a signal in there. I don't know why they haven't fixed it, but you can't get a signal in there. So I was like, all right, we got to be there 30 minutes early. And so that just means you're sitting there watching other people's kids for 30 minutes. Ain't no way I'm doing that. So I'm like, I got to find things to do, but I know my phone won't work when I walk in this place. So I was like, I need to read the court report. So let me go ahead and get the court report before I even walk into the thing. So I have it and I can just read it. And I clicked on it and it said 17-minute read. And I said, Jesus Christ.
And then you read it and you're like, damn, I was in and out in 11 minutes. Norlander was right.
I was so happy that the 17-minute read covered the entire thing, not just the part about the scheduling that I really wanted to.
Scheduling was the shortest part.
So I've tried to tell people, if you want to read about the scheduling, that's the shortest part. It's very short. All right.
And the second part's the power conference ratings. I put the Big Ten one after Kansas lost and K-State lost at home. And I did that, and then I had a little more players there, info, postmortem, all that good stuff. It's not 17 minutes. That's the point.
I know. I was trying to compliment you in my weird way. I was like, all right, he got to it pretty quickly and got out of it pretty quickly. I like that. All right, he got me good information pretty quickly. I like that. Back to Arkansas and Louisville.
Where are they ranked?
12th. I got Arkansas 12th and Louisville 13th. You agree or disagree?
I disagree because Arkansas had the benefit of playing the game on its home floor, and I would still have Louisville ahead of Arkansas, but narrowly. So
that's fine. That's fine. But I mean, I can justify. All I got to do is point to, hey, that team beat that team.
I know. I trust me. This is rotating with the college football playoff thing right now every freaking day.
I sound like a Miami football fan. Hey, this team beat that team. Why isn't that good enough?
Right.
I sound like a Miami football fan sitting over here. So I've got Arkansas 12, Louisville 13. If you disagree, you should tweet me about it. I'll ignore it. No problem. We spent so much time this season talking about Louisville's three-point shooting, which I'm a fan of, but it was a problem in this game. They took 37 three-pointers and 33 two-pointers. No issue with the ratio. That's how they play. But if you are going to take 53% of your field goal attempts from beyond the arc, at least against a quality opponent, you got to make more than 22%. And the problem was the 1-2-3. Michael Brown, 2 of 13 from 3. Isaac McNeely, 1 of 5 from 3. Ryan Cronwell, 3 of 12 from 3. So Louisville's 1-2-3 combined to go 6 of 30 from beyond the arc. That's 20%. On the season, those guys are combining to shoot 40% from 3. But against Arkansas, it got cut in half. Still the same number of attempts, roughly, but the makes got cut in half. And when you're shooting 40% from 3 at the 1-2-3, that's how you start 7-0. When you shoot 20% from 3 against a quality opponent on the road, that's how you drop to 7-1, I guess is what I'm saying.
We'll spoil one Final Four 1 game. Obviously, the Indiana-Louisville game on CBS is going to be part of the Final Four 1. I've got another data point on what GP was just alluding to there. Before we get to the Final Four 1, and holy hell, do we have a lot to get to. Just a quick tour through Wednesday. Auburn beats NC State by 10. So Auburn's off to a really good start. I'll talk about one of their games before we get out of here. NC State off to a bumpier start than State fans expected to be fair. UCLA almost blew a massive lead against Washington on the road, but they won by 2. That was late night on Wednesday. Alabama got a real fight from Clemson. Crimson Tide get it done. Vandy remains undefeated, 9-0. They knock off previously undefeated SMU. So Vandy, highest ranked team at KenPom in the SEC, off to a continually good start there. You like to see that. Indiana fell against Minnesota. We'll save our Hoosier stuff for the Final Four and 1, but that was the first loss of the season. They get knocked off. Shouts to Nico Medved. I'm starting to like that guy. And then, to me, the most significant result, non-Arkansas Louisville, was Virginia over Texas. Virginia wins. They win dominantly. Virginia is 7-1. The only loss is to Josh's Butler Bulldogs. They do it on the road. It was an impressive showing, unquestionably, between DeRitter and then Johan Grunlow. that's just a power combo of two bigs that know how to get it done. And then Malik Thomas is going to be an even better player in a month from now. They are really developing into something. But to me, the bigger takeaway was Texas 6-3 under Sean Miller. Their best win is over NC State in Maui. They went 1-1 in Maui against Division I teams. They got the Chaminade game for game number 2 there. And it was weirdly bad. Texas plays at UConn a week from tonight in Hartford. I think I might drive up and catch that game. But yeah, it was notable because Virginia, it wasn't a game. Virginia got up early, and I stuck around thinking, all right, is Texas actually going to make a move here? No, it almost got to 30 at one point. The final margin was 19 points, but Texas was non-competitive on its home floor, and the kind of result that was, to me, just a little bit eye-opening. Texas is now well outside the top 50 in many advanced metrics.
Yeah, to me, the interesting result was Vanderbilt, because it just keeps making you like, okay, what's going on there? Because that's not supposed to be the team that was going to win this league. Wasn't even a preseason top 25 team. Like, you think a lot of people in the preseason said that's the best conference in the country, whether they're right or wrong. Some people said it. Vanderbilt was not on paper supposed to be a part of this conversation in the way that it is. And they still, like I think I mentioned Wednesday, don't have the big, and they went out and beat a top 10 team on the road. They don't have that yet. They'll have those opportunities coming. They play in the SEC, but they are just pounding everybody. And, SMU being the latest example, they don't have a big game this weekend at Central Arkansas. After that, they are at Memphis. Obviously, the Tigers are struggling, so who knows what that looks like. But, Vanderbilt's quietly, I think, turning into one of the more interesting stories in the sport.
I would agree with you. And yeah, if they can continue to do this, they'll move up even higher on the list. But really impressive stuff with what Mark Byington has been able to do there. And they're one of maybe 15 undefeated teams left, something like that. So good job out of them so far. Okay, we have an absolutely jammed weekend of college hoops, in addition to college football conference championship games, everything with the NFL, all that stuff. But it gets going tonight with a big time and relatively urgent college basketball game. Josh, let's get one more word from our partners, then we're going to dive in. Game 1 of the Final Four and 1 is Kentucky against Gonzaga.
You can't count on accurate expiration dates.
No, that is a rookie mistake.
Or the kindness of strangers. But thanks to CBS Sports, you can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS and Paramount Plus.
It's time for the Final Four and 1 presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more. Josh, you want to update us on the records? How are we doing in this Final Four and 1? Turn your mic on and update me. Tell me how good I am at this.
OGP, you're so good at this.
Thank you. Say it again. Say it just like that again.
Bring back Nato. What's going on?
That was wild. That was a wild. I'm going to clip that and just play it to myself.
That was sensual.
That was real sensual.
More of us. I was not ready for that.
Oh, man. Oh,
well,
man.
At least I know Josh is one of us.
Well, as tempting as it is, by the way, take what Josh just said and put it to my board. I am never putting that on the board. That never happened.
I got a little turned on, if I'm being honest.
Oh,
you got to understand, he's like right in my ear, so it's like I heard it real up close.
Mine too.
It was real sweet.
I wasn't even involved. How do you feel?
It was real sweet. I'm gonna need a minute if you guys don't mind. All right, y'all talk amongst yourselves. Update us on them records. I'm gonna need a minute to catch my breath.
GP is a very mediocre average.
Oh, don't try to walk it back now. Don't try to walk it back now. Don't try to act like you're not into me now.
13-7.
Oh, that's good. That's great. What are you talking about?
11-9. Both of you went 3-2 last week.
Overrated. Overrated.
Game 1.
Overrated.
That's literally enough. Game 1.
Game 1, Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern. Number 11 Gonzaga versus number 18 Kentucky inside Dolly Parton Arena. That's in downtown Nashville. You can watch it on ESPN2. Gonzaga minus 4.5.
I was convinced you were going to give this to Nate Bargatze.
Oh, I should have.
No, I'm glad you did. Mine is also not Nate Bargatze. He's got plenty, okay?
He's got plenty.
He's had more than his share. More than enough. My guy, Nate Bargatze. Had a good chat with him on the course this year at the Ryder Cup there. He had inside the ropes access. He's gotten plenty. This is one hell. By the way, this isn't one of those, oh, it's Central Time Zone. Maybe they're tipping off at 9 Eastern, 8 local. No. 7 Eastern tip. We're off to the races here on Friday. Both teams coming off high-profile losses. I saw Gonzaga get vaporized by Michigan more than a week ago in Vegas, that Players Era. Kentucky, we talked about them on the most recent show as well. There's not going to be any Mo Diabate for Kentucky. Pope had, I don't know if he's trying to, downplay, palliate what the situation is with Jalen Lowe, but he did not cross off the idea that maybe he could play in this game. I'm not expecting Jalen Lowe to play, but maybe there's a huge surprise in store, and if he's involved, obviously that's going to invigorate Kentucky's fan base all the more there. We'll see. The interesting aspect to this matchup is both teams have been quality teams when it comes to taking advantage on the boards against good matchups. Kentucky's grabbing 81% of their opponents' misses. Gonzaga's big. They're old. They're strong on the interior. I want to see the bounce-back factor with Graham Ike. He only had 1 point, single point against Michigan in the loss there. These teams met, obviously, a year ago. They've met the past few years. This is year 4 of a 6-year deal. Last season, these teams played in Seattle. Kentucky was down 16 at the half and 18 at its largest margin. I believe the 16-point halftime deficit that Kentucky came back from is the biggest regular season halftime deficit Kentucky has ever had and come back to win against either a team or a ranked team. I can't remember what the nugget was there. Graham Ike in that game, by the way, a year ago, even though Gonzaga lost 28-11. So keep an eye there, particularly with no Diabate. Obviously, Quaintance hasn't made his debut. We'll see if Ike can really feast. Gonzaga has not been a good three-point shooting team this season, 32.2%, ranking 238th in Division I heading into Friday. And they have not cracked 30% from beyond the arc in 4 of their past 8 games has Gonzaga. That seems like it should theoretically set up in Kentucky's favor. We'll see. Really fun, really urgent matchup here. More for Kentucky, obviously, than the Zags. But we'll see what Mark Pope's got in store here. Just lost to North Carolina, lost to Michigan State, lost to Louisville. Doesn't have a single win over a high major team. And this is big time urgent stuff. I guess we technically wait and see if Lowe's available. If he does, maybe that changes stuff. But I am dialed in and ready for this one. This is an awesome way to get a really good weekend started.
Awesome matchup on a Friday night. Obviously, Gonzaga's coming off of that loss, but I still think this is a bigger game for Kentucky for all the reasons you noted. Like, Gonzaga's going to get their 30 wins one way or another. Kentucky, not only no wins over power conference opponents, there no wins over teams in the top 200 at marktorvik.com. And, it's become a talking point. Most expensive basketball team in the history of college athletics. And if you lose this one, I know it's not in Rupp Arena, but it's like 213 miles away. Bridgestone, as they call it technically, is going to be blue. So it will feel like a home court advantage. And if you lose again, then however tumultuous it's been already, it just gets ratcheted up a level. Here's a question to get research on this. Is Gonzaga the first team ever to be favored over a ranked opponent immediately after losing by 40?
Has to be. How could it not?
How could it not?
First of all, the number of those might be in the single digits ever, but it must be.
Because you have to be a ranked team to be favored over a ranked team, barring few exceptions.
Yes.
And which means you would have to be a ranked team of a 40-point loss, which those are rare. Like, yeah. Gonzaga had never lost that bad under Mark Few ever at any point in time. So I'm assuming Gonzaga is the first team to ever be favored over a ranked opponent immediately after losing by 40. But I'll get research on that. How are you going to pick it? Pick it.
I'll go Kentucky, and I'm not confident in it whatsoever. 4.5. I'm hoping for a really close game. I'll go Cats. They're going to have I'm guessing the split is going to be Gonzaga fans do travel well, but a lot of them just went to Vegas. Nashville, first weekend. I'm going to say it's 85-15 split in that building. With that urgency around it, I'll go Kentucky inside the 4.5.
I would think it might even be more than 85-15. Yeah. But either way, you'll hear Big Blue Nation chants in there throughout. I'll just take the preseason SEC favorite plus the 4.5 points in near home. I think Gonzaga is the better team. Certainly that's what this season has suggested so far, but I'll take the 4.5 points with the Wildcats. Game 2, Saturday, noon Eastern. Number 10, Iowa State at number 1, Purdue, inside Zach Edey Arena. You can watch it on CBS. It's America's most watched network. It's the network of stars. KenPom has it, Purdue -5. Did you realize Zach Edey's the best center in the world already outside of Nikola Jokic? Outside of Nikola Jokic.
I know. We got to keep it moving, but it is awesome to see him be that good and just, debunk a lot of conventional thought and wisdom when it comes to modern age NBA. No, he's big. He's awesome in college. He's one of the most dominant college players of the past 3 decades. And guess what? He got to the league. He knows how to play ball, and he is immediately really good again. Love to see
really good. Really good. All right. So Purdue -5. We mentioned this the other day in passing. If Cameron Boozer is running away with the National Player of the Year race as of this moment, it's not actually Braden Smith who would be considered the runner-up, at least according to, as you call it, K-Poi.
Yeah.
The runner-up right now is Joshua Jefferson from Iowa State. So according to KenPom, hey, Boilermaker fans, take it up with KenPom. The best National Player of the Year candidate in this game on America's Most Watched Network is not Braden Smith. It's Joshua Jefferson. Take it up with KenPom, Boilermaker fans, not me. I'm just the messenger.
What a matchup here. And you have the Gonzaga Kentucky on Friday, and then, as you're going to see, 2 games in the Final Four and 1 just get going right away at noon. That is also a function of college football conference championship games. We get squeezed early in the day. Not ideal for me. But you know what? YouTube TV will have the multi-view going on the phone here. These 2 teams, Purdue and Iowa State, have the highest non-conference winning percentage since 21-22. Purdue has gone 48-3. It's just ridiculous. And Iowa State 51-6. I think that's in regular season games, specifically maybe in November. That's courtesy of our CBS Sports research team. Iowa State, I'm not going to put much stock in this. It is coming off a bye game against Alcorn State in which it scored 132 points, which I think was the most ever in the history of that building, Hilton Coliseum. It was 22 of 30 from three-point range, 73%. It was the school record for most three-pointers made in the game, highest percentage of three-pointers made with at least 10 attempts by Iowa State. Just ridiculous stuff there. We'll see if any of that can transfer over once they've got to take on Purdue here in Mackey. Purdue has won 36 consecutive non-conference home games. That's the longest streak ever in the history of the program. The last loss came to Texas November 9, 2019. So it has been a minute since someone not in the Big Ten went into that building and pulled off a win. If you're curious, Iowa State is 0-8 all-time when playing number 1 teams on the road. They did beat number 2 Purdue in Mackey back in 87, but not number 1 Purdue. We'll see. Boilermakers 7-1 in their past 8 top 10 games. This obviously qualifies there. And this is Iowa State's first game on the road against the number 1 team since March 5, 2016, when they lost against Kansas. This is going to be one hell of a game. Iowa State it's going to be a tough ask for them to go into the building and win, but having gotten to see them up close, Tamin Lipsey, is he going to play in this? I am projecting he will. I don't have that information. I have not texted TJ. I do know that, like, I asked TJ in Vegas, hey, if this was the tournament, would he be playing? He said absolutely. Right. So it's been more than a week since he got injured. This is Purdue on the road. I would think that Lipsey comes back. So you get Lipsey, you get Jefferson. Killian Torrey has been really, really good. This has the potential to be just an incredible, incredible game. People might not realize how good Iowa State is in the paint. 47 paint points per game. Really, really quality stuff. And they're really good defensively. They make a ton of threes. Both these teams average more than 10 made threes per game. There's just a lot of good stuff involved with this. Purdue, we've talked about them plenty. Boilermaker fans, you know what we think of you and your team here. I do like their chances on their home floor. I'm going to ride with Mackey here, but damn if I don't think that there's a good chance that we get to the 2-minute mark of this game, and it is a bucket deciding these two right here. The line is 5. That's too big for me, so I will take the Clones on the road to cover, but Purdue to win. I'll even toss out a score for you. Give me Purdue 80-77. Boilermakers stay undefeated and keep that number 1 ranking when the polls refresh on Monday.
So Iowa State's 10th in the AP poll. I've got the Cyclones 7th in the top 25 and 1. Some numbers on Josh Jefferson: 18 8.4 points, 7.3 rebounds, 5.6 assists, 1.5 steals. If you're wondering how that algorithm jumps him up to number 2 in the KPOI ratings, those are ridiculous numbers. 18, 7, 5, and 1.5.
Love it.
Those are pretty crazy numbers. So he's been excellent, but I'm a building truster. I'm a good percentage Boilermaker, and the Taman Lipsy stuff leaves it a little bit up in the air. I'll go opposite of you. I think Iowa State's terrific. I think Mackey Arena is on a different level. I'll take Purdue. I'll lay the points.
Two more things. One, I'm taking Iowa State to cover with the guess that Lipsy plays. You tell me Lipsy's isn't on the floor, I would take Purdue, but that's whatever. I'm sticking to it. I'm going to say he plays, and with that, they cover by 5. Look for the turnovers in this game. Purdue only gives it away 9.5 times per game this season. And they are first in the country in assist to turnover ratio. Meanwhile, Iowa State forces 19.5 turnovers per game. So they force 10 more than Purdue gives up. Keep an eye on that. Obviously, Braden Smith will factor huge into that. And Iowa State gets nearly 28 points off turnovers. It's the best mark in all of college basketball. Keep an eye on the giveaways. It could be the key to who wins the game. What's game 3?
Game 3 Saturday, noon Eastern. Is that right? Are we noon Eastern again?
We are noon. GP, that's what I just alluded to. We are noon Eastern again. These are 2. I couldn't tell you the last time college hoops at noon, not in March, had 2 games of this quality right alongside each other to start off a day. Incredible.
My call time for studio is not till 4 o'clock. I was planning to sleep till like 3:15, but I guess I got to get up and watch basketball.
That's correct.
Damn. I was hoping to catch up on some rest. Saturday, noon Eastern, number 4 Duke at number 7 Michigan State inside Mateen Cleave Center. You can watch it on Fox. KenPom has it Michigan State -1.
MSU -1. Okay, a couple things on this. So you've got Iowa State, Purdue, Duke, Michigan State happening, not just side by side, but this is only the second time in 3 decades that there are 2 games happening on the same day that involve teams that are both at least 8-0 or better. Okay, you've got undefeated Duke, undefeated Michigan State, undefeated Iowa State, undefeated Purdue. They're happening not only the same day, they're happening against each other at the same time. If you're curious, the only other time this happened in the past 3 decades, it was December 22 of 2007. Yep. Ole Miss and Clemson, Georgetown and Memphis.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I remember. I actually do remember this. I was probably there.
I figured that you actually would remember that, GP. That was the infamous Clemson team that got off to the longest start without a loss that season and didn't make the tournament. Oh, by the way, shouts to Oliver Purnell Parrish. Duke is 15-3 all time against Michigan State, including 2-0 in East Lansing. And I was like, really, only 2-0? I was like, I'm almost positive. I remember watching Duke play against Michigan State when I was in college in like the main common room of one of the dorms at WCSU. So I went back and checked, and sure enough, sure as hell, that is exactly what happened. Wednesday, December 3rd, 2003, Duke won at Michigan State 72-50. I'm assuming that was year 1 or year 2 of the ACC Big Ten Challenge when that happened. Weird, just the stuff that you wind up remembering. Shouts to Litchfield Hall. Duke has been everything it was advertised to be and better. Michigan State has overshot expectations, which were still pretty solid overall, even more so. This game, I mentioned it on a recent show, is the promised return game. Champions Classic. CBS Sports. No, Champions Classic in 2020 got messed up because of COVID and all that kind of stuff. We remember what that was like. And then Michigan. So that year, Michigan State said, you know what? We want to have the game anyway. We're going to play at Duke in the Champions Classic, but Michigan State's got to make the return at some point. This is finally that return game here in 2025, the year of our Lord, and it is well timed for the Spartans. They are ranked as the top 3 defense in the country. Jeremy Fears is stride for stride with Braden Smith as the best point guard in America right now, but it's not just him. We know what Cohen Carr can do. Michigan State is worth turning in every single time because of what Cohen Carr is capable of. But Jackson Kohler, he's making that traditional rise year by year, getting better and better and better. That's what he's done here. Keep an eye on him in this game. I'm interested to see how Duke opts to defend, because Kohler's the kind of guy that can give you the right kind of 13 points and 8 boards and 5 assists that you kind of need. Really, really good Swiss Army knife, not ultra athletic, but does so many good things on the floor. And then Carson Cooper's been tremendous as well. This is a fantastic matchup. Obviously, we want to see how and if Michigan State can offset Cameron Boozer. If that happens, is this the game where we see what we've been talking about with Duke come to the fore. And by that, I mean, does Boozer not have a good game? And if that does actually happen, hard as it is to believe, who steps up in absence of that? Are we going to see, Dame Sarr's been quiet. You saw Nick Hamania got a recent start. Will it be Evans again? Ngongwa's coming off one of the best games, if not the best game he's ever had in a Duke uniform. Caleb Foster, he's a little bit up and down, but he is shooting relatively well so far from three-point range. Keep an eye on that as well. And then Malik Brown is a game changer defensively. This is an incredible game. I love that we get it on campus. That's the other thing about this. We've got a couple of games on neutral sites this weekend. A lot of on-campus stuff. Just tremendous stuff. The line here, you said, is MSU -1. Duke's really good, but if anything, Michigan State still might not be getting quite enough love. Feels like a coin flip game. The projection says it is. I will go with Sparty to get it done on its home floor. That is going to be the visuals on TV Saturday when you're watching Iowa State, Purdue at Mackey, and Duke, Michigan State, also in the same league up there at Breslin. For December, it is as good as it literally gets for college hoops there. Can't wait for it. Who you got?
First things first, I will take Michigan State -1. I can't sit here every week calling myself a building truster and then refuse to take Mateen Cleave center, only laying a point. I'd be contradicting myself.
Sounds like you're a Boozer doubter then.
Oh, God.
Yeah, you're a building truster, but a Boozer doubter. Listen, just own it. You could prove to be right. You can't have both, though. You trust the building or you trust Boozer? Boozer versus building. Who you got?
I trust them both. I think Boozer goes big, but the building prevails. Boozer goes big in a loss. Building prevails. I don't doubt Boozer, but I'm glad you said it that way because I saw something floating around on Twitter that I wanted to ask you about. Okay. It comes from our friends over at the Field of 68, and they had talked to an NBA executive. Let's just say that. And this executive had told somebody at the Field of 68, I'm not sure which one, there's 70 of them over at the Field of 68. Correct. I don't know. So I don't know who got this exactly. Okay. But the executive opinion was Boozer just dominates. He punishes lesser competition. That's what he's doing. He's just punishing lesser competition. When you put him against comparable competition, equal size competition, things get a little harder for him. Is that reality, or is that just somebody being a real hater? Are we nitpicking this guy? What are we doing?
Super nitpicky. I don't want to hear any of it yet. If we get to a point midway through the season and maybe Duke has like 3 losses and there's real correlation. Duke is off to an insane start. They've beaten Kansas on a neutral. Obviously that huge Army road win. But they took out Arkansas. They took out Florida. No. That's inflammatory for no good reason. I
want to be clear. I'm not picking on the Field of 68 for I'm glad they put this out there. It was an interesting quote. It made me you know what it made me do? Go look. I was like, is this a real thing? Did I just not spot this? And so the first thing I noticed is that people entered the season calling Florida's front court the best in the country, and Cameron Boozer got 29-6 against them. Yeah. So he's punishing lesser competition. He just took on Florida's front line and got 29-6. All preseason, somebody told me Florida's front line's got NBA players, and it's the best, most experienced in the country, reigning national champs. And Boozer got 29-6 against them. He's averaging 24.3 points, 9.5 rebounds, and 3.2 assists against high major competition this season. So, I'll keep an eye on it, I guess, but it struck me as a little nitpicky. He's been awesome. I don't think we have to try to qualify it. He's just been awesome. And I would say, just like you said about Duke, if you say Duke's been better than expected, I think Cameron Boozer has been better than expected. I think he has another big game because I think just about every big game for him is going to be big. But I'll trust the Breslin Center, Michigan State -1. Game 4, Saturday, 2 p.m. Eastern, number 6 Louisville versus number 22 Indiana inside Caitlin Clark Fieldhouse. You can watch it on CBS, America's Most Watched Network of Stars. Ken Palm's got it Louisville -4.
This is the 23rd meeting between these two proud programs. Indiana leads the all-time series 12-10. First matchup back in 1921. It was a 34-7 IUW. Let's hope that both teams get to 34 by the end of the first half here. They're both coming off losses, just like the Gonzaga-Kentucky matchup. Indiana had a season low, 64 points, well below their season average against Minnesota. couple nights ago, shot just 40% from the field. Meanwhile, Louisville never led against Arkansas. For the season, Louisville's averaging 94 and change per game. Indiana, 86 and change per game. They are holding opponents to under 67 points, each of them. So we'll see. You would think this is going to be a race to 80, but we'll see if that comes to bear. 3-pointers made per game. Louisville, 12.5. Indiana, 10.3. It is a major jump for Indiana, both in volume and in percentage-wise. They are shooting 37% from the field, 37% from beyond the arc this season. In recent seasons, Indiana, 32%, 32%, 37%, and 33%. So a big jump up for them there. The only team for Louisville side that makes more threes per game this season is Cornell. So you would think they're going to fire early and often. That means there's really good chance that this could be a very, very entertaining game. There's also a chance that this game could get out of hand for one team or the other, depending on how well they shoot or do not shoot from beyond the arc. GP laid out the 3-point number specifically as it pertained to Louisville on the road against Arkansas earlier this season. To me, Louisville is the better team. Indiana's having a nice start so far. Minnesota loss aside. First year under Darian DeVries. Tucker DeVries, by the way, is the leading active scorer of all players in men's Division I this season. It's him 1 and then Graham Ike 2. So the top 2 scorers among active players on display in high-profile games this weekend. The number is smaller than I thought, so I think we're going to be on the same side here. I will go Louisville in this spot, but it does feel like, given the amount of high-profile games we've got this weekend, GP, we're going to have one or two we talk about on Sunday night that are going to be some eyebrow-raising results. I don't think it's going to be here. I'll take the Cards to win and to cover.
Yeah, I'll take Louisville too. Obviously, they shot it terribly from 3 at Arkansas. We detailed those numbers. They might do it again, but they had been shooting the ball. They played 8 games. Through the first 7, they shot it consistently well. High volume and nice percentage of makes. That's how they rose into the top 10. That's a good shooting basketball team. That's not just a team that was shooting well early in the season. That is a team that went into the transfer portal, identified established proven shooters, brought them in, and they have been established proven shooters at Louisville. It got away from them on whatever night that was against Arkansas. Was that Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever Wednesday night that was against Arkansas? A lot of that was Michael Brown, but I trust they'll get back to shooting closer to the way they normally shoot in Indianapolis. I'll take Louisville minus the 4. What's the and 1?
And 1, Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern. It's another good one between 2 top 20 level teams. 8 p.m. Eastern on ESPN on Dwayne Allman Court. That is a Nashville native. Shouts to Dwayne Allman, the late great, one of the better guitarists ever in rock history. We've got Illinois against Tennessee. KenPom has we don't have the real line out for this yet. KenPom has the line Tennessee -2. Who you got?
My mother dealt blackjack to Greg Allman one time.
Love that. Good stuff.
She said he was awful.
Okay.
Very rude.
I hope. Oh, I was saying.
No, not awful blackjack. Perfectly reasonable blackjack.
He would be an awful blackjack player and not an awful person. That's unfortunate.
Just very. She said he's just very rude. Anytime somebody
you catch someone on the wrong side of a 3-hour
session. That's exactly right. It could have just been a bad day. But she was like, every time somebody would be like, "Oh my God," and try to be nice to him, he had no time for it whatsoever. But whatever. I don't mean to get us sidetracked. I like the Allman Brothers.
Love them.
All
Eat
right.
a peach. What do you got?
Tell me what the game is again. I just heard Dwayne Allman.
Illinois versus Tennessee is the game, and there's still so many more I want to mention before we wrap this podcast in 4 minutes.
All right. It's the Vols in Nashville.
It is the Vols in Nashville.
Don't you have to take the Vols in Nashville?
You can if you want.
2-game losing streak?
That is correct.
Yuck! I don't like 2-game losing streaks, but I'm going to take the Vols -2 in Nashville.
Illinois is averaging 90.4 points per game. It leads the Big Ten. It's 3rd in the nation in rebound margin, also grabbing 44.5 boards per game. This is relevant because Tennessee is a big team. It is a physical team. It will be ready to fight. I want to see if Illinois can match that physicality there. Keep in mind, Illinois has 5 players averaging double figures. Tomislav Ivisic, who was expected to be the team's best player, he's at 10.8 per game. Kylan Boswell leads at 17.3, but it's been Andrei Stojakovic who has really come on as of late and really shown some good stuff there, 16.3, and then David Mirkovic has been super, super reliable. In fact, Mirkovic and Caleb Wilson, I think I have this, which is surprising given the Boozer stuff. Yeah, Mirkovic and Wilson at UNC are the only freshmen to average at least 14 and 10. Boozer isn't averaging 10 points. That's why he doesn't apply to that one. This is another really, really good game. it's as close as you can get. I mean, Tennessee 16, Illinois 17, and Ken Palm. They're 13 and 14 in the AP rankings. They both have shades of orange. It's on a neutral floor. Both fan bases are going to be able to drive there. I know you're saying Vols in Nashville. It's not a super far drive for Illinois fans, and they do travel well. This is toss-up city. Illinois also coming off a loss to UConn. I will go Tennessee here, and I'm influenced by the fact that I just saw what they are capable of, and I think Gillespie can have a big game in this spot. So I will go with Tennessee semi-reluctantly, but give me the Vols to avoid a 3-game losing skid. There are so many good games this weekend. GP, let me just tour through these really quick. You tell me what stands out to you, then we'll get out of here. You've got another show to do. 185 games this weekend. There are more games than that can fill every D1 team. That means that there are some D1 teams playing non-D1s. That's why. The only other really notable one on Friday is 7:30 Eastern, Cincy at Xavier. Crosstown shootout, obviously always worth tuning into. Saturday,
zip them up.
Saturday, here we go. Sneaky one is URI at Providence at noon. Rhodey is 7-2. Providence is unproven. That's a really intense game locally there, but I had to mention that. Noon, also another one, Dayton against Virginia in Charlotte on ESPN2. The teams are combined 14-3. There are so many games. We needed a Final 4 and 7 at minimum here, but regardless. 2 Eastern, Marquette at Wisconsin. That's the game that I had a name for it. I forget. GP has dubbed this Egg Bowl Bedlam, so that's going down.
Egg Bowl Bedlam.
This one, yes. Yeah, it's Egg Bowl Bedlam. It's the most ridiculous thing. I wanted to call it the Big Cheese or something idiotic, but I guess Egg Bowl Bedlam.
Yeah, we're going to call it Egg Bowl Bedlam. It's stuck. It's stuck.
It did it? Okay.
Oh, somebody tweeted me a few weeks ago about Egg Bowl Bedlam. I still hear out in the street sometimes. I still hear about Egg Bowl Bedlam.
I don't think that happens. Marquette is on the road playing Wisconsin. It could get ugly, but we'll see. Rivalry game. Stranger things have happened. 3 Eastern, ACC Network Extra, whatever that is. George Mason is undefeated, plays at Virginia Tech. Hokies are improved. Mason's undefeated. It's at least notable, if nothing else. 4:30 Eastern on CBS. Baylor at Memphis. Maybe Penny's last stand. We'll see, but obviously
hey.
I mean, in terms of this season, you lose at home to Baylor. Where else you have to turn? You know?
Hey. They're probably about to go on a 4-game losing streak. I'm with you. I'm just saying.
We're going to talk about it in like 7 minutes, I'm sure.
I'm just saying I don't want people around here to hear that.
EP will be in studio. I'll be doing HQ hits throughout Saturday. Tune in for that. And then GP will be in studio for CBS Sports Network at 5 Eastern on CBS Sports Network. Undefeated Colorado at Colorado State. I gave Tad Boyle his flowers in the court report because he could easily not schedule this game. He still willingly goes on the road and plays relatively local teams like this. I love that. That's 5 Eastern, CBS Sports Network. 6 Eastern, Peacock, Oregon, trying to avoid a 5th straight loss, plays against UCLA, which almost blew the game against Washington. 8 Eastern on Peacock. This is buried, but Mississippi Ole Miss goes to play at St. John's at the Garden. 8 Eastern on Saturday night. 10 Eastern is Auburn at Arizona on ESPN. 10 Eastern on CBS Sports Network, Oklahoma against Arizona State in Phoenix. All of that on Saturday. There's even more. And then on Sunday, 1 Eastern, the Border War, Kansas against Missouri on ESPN. 3 Eastern, undefeated LSU takes on Texas Tech and Fort Worth on ESPN2 at 3 Eastern. 5 Eastern, Texas A&M plays against SMU. 5 Eastern, FS1, Creighton goes on the road to play against Nebraska, which is not yet lost this season. And then 5 Eastern, Georgetown plays at North Carolina on ESPN on Sunday. It is a joke how many good games there are this weekend. And oh, by the way, it's Bears-Packers, 4:30 on Sunday. We're not podcasting until minimum 8:30 on Sunday night. There's also like the Georgetown-Carolina game. We're going to need to know some of these results. So for your Sunday prep, it's definitely going to be a Sunday night show, probably somewhere in the 8 p.m. Eastern hour.
Man, maybe one day everybody will get apps on their phones that have full schedules, and so they could just look at all that themselves.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I hope
a lot of
so,
people
too.
listen to the show on their commutes they want to set up for the whole weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Bada bing, bada bang, bada boom. It's a joke how many good games there are this weekend. Can't wait.
Shouts to Devin Downey. Shouts to Chester, South Carolina. If you don't mind, shouts to Yancey Thigpen.
Why is that? I know we got to go, but I'll drop him in the no context preview, I guess.
I think he was a part of the Zip 'em Up story.
Yancey Thigpen was in the Zip 'em Up?
2 Holloway. Shouts
You're
to
right.
Yancey Thigpen and 2 Holloway.
Yancey
Shouts to
Thigpen played football. Which is why I'm thrown by that. Okay.
Then who am I thinking of? Yancey. Who was my Yancey?
You're thinking of Yancey Gates.
Is that okay? Shouts to Yancey Gates.
Yancey
Shouts
Sigmund's
to
doing
Two
better.
Holloway. Shouts to Two Holloway.
We're
Shouts
so
to
up against it. You just threw me. I was like, well, I don't know what he's saying.
I
here.
don't know why I said
Yancey
Yancey. Yancey Gates. Shouts to everybody who ever threatened to kill another person in the middle of a Cincinnati Xavier crosstown shootout. I'm looking forward to that. Shouts to Terry Teagle. He's a legend, of course. Huck Larnell. Thank you guys once again watching, listening to Eye on College Basketball Podcast. If you're not subscribed, go subscribe. Spotify, Apple, more of us, R of them. Should be reflected comments. Do that. We'll talk to you again on Sunday night. Overrated. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.